Hi Denise.
Hiya. So where are we here?
We are on our way to our local pub that's called the Harrow, and we walk through this amazing ravine. It's very deep. This is a tributary of the Rother, and I was just saying that when we walk through here in the evening at dusk, you can actually smell the animals, the musk from the animals. The bank is full of holes, badgers, foxes, rabbits, everything you care to mention really. And look at the tree roots. Aren't they just amazing? These incredible tree roots just growing. It makes you wonder how they manage to stay on the bank like that. And they're all crisscrossed and together. But Denise has just found something really interesting in this tree over here. What have you found?
Well, I noticed that looking down at the tree root, you can see right through, there's a hole that goes right through down to the ravine.
Can we show everybody?
I don't know if you can get in there.
Yes, we can. Look.
See it.
Look.
See, it's a little fairy hole. It's like another world down there.
Right through the roots of the tree. And it's a massive old tree. What is it? It's an oak.
Yes,
It's an
it
oak
is an
tree.
oak, yes.
Big. Would you go and stand next to it so that we can see how large it is?
It's a gnarly,
Look at that.
crunchy, delicious, lovely old oak.
It goes right up into the canopy. And it's lovely. You can hear the birds singing. We've seen squirrels running around and scampering about. So we're going to continue our walk to the Harrow, hopefully have a drink and do some painting. So we'll see you in a little while. So isn't that funny? We're on the way to the Harrow, and here we have a farmer harrowing. How incredible is that? I just wanted to.
Like the end of summer.
It does, doesn't it? That dry
hay, sweet
grass.
yeah.
Yes, beautiful. I wanted to. Oh, smell that now as it comes. I wish you had smell-o-vision, everybody.
Isn't it fab?
Brilliant. But if we look up here, this house is a little special because this is where Sir Alec Guinness used to live.
Wow.
Famous actor, yes, darling. And funny story with that one, let me tell you all about it. Here's the house right behind us, and a funny story about this, Denise. You'll love this one. My son, when he was about, our Justin, when he was about 8, 9 years old,
Okay.
maybe a bit younger, it was the first time I allowed him out on his bike on his own to drive our lanes, cycle our lanes. And the first thing he said to me, I'm going to go and see Sir Alec, because Star Wars was absolutely massive.
Wow. Yes.
Now, I don't know whether you know the story, but Sir Alec always felt a little bit put out that he'd done all this fantastic Shakespearean work, and then he was more famous for Star Wars than any of the other classic films that he'd made.
Fabulous stuff, yeah.
And he was quite put out about this in his old age. And Justin wanting to come and see him, no, don't do that, he'll eat you alive, because he wasn't always terribly polite to fans. And I could just imagine Justin cycling all up here and saying, oh, hello Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, go away. It would have been bad news, wouldn't it?
Yes. Would have broken his heart.
So that would have done for our Justin. Oh dear.
So I've done my drawing.
Good. Are you ready to start painting yet, do you think?
I am, but I'm going to stop for a minute just have a slurp of coffee. I can't believe how busy this little pub is. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's down such a tiny lane.
Yep.
And it opened at 12.
Yes.
And by about 11:45, there was about 8 people here.
Yes. Ready
And
waiting.
now there's couple of dozen people already sitting outside with drinks, some of them already eating. It's
Busy
just
already.
amazing.
Lovely, isn't it? We're at the Harrow Inn in Steep, and that's a tiny little village just outside of Petersfield in Hampshire. And we've walked to the pub. You've seen the lovely walk that we've taken, and we're sitting here. People have walked their dogs. It's a good pub at the weekends for cyclists. People who are walking this is the South Downs National Park, and the owners here have been here since God was a boy. So of course they know the place inside out, Claire and Tony, and the garden's exquisite. Tony's a gardener.
And the flowers he's grown. The only difficulty I've got is the painting I've chosen to do. He's got a table out the front of the pub, which we'll show you the photograph of. This table outside the front of the pub covered in bouquets of flowers. And I've drawn a lot of them out, and then people keep coming and buying them and walking away with them. So my table display is going to be representational of what I've seen, but not necessarily
as it is.
Yes.
He has a field and he grows flowers. He's just invited us to go and drive up there and go and have a look.
So how many bunches of flowers has he done this year?
I think he said he's tied in excess of 1,000 bunches of flowers this year.
Wow.
And they're all sold for Macmillan Charity. Wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And there are lots of plants here. He's a real plantsman, so he's a gardener by trade, and the garden here is exquisite. And as a consequence, anything in the garden that needs digging up, dividing and separating, he sells pots of plants as well. And that's fantastic, because I've often come along here, and when I'm usually with my hubby, it's not me that carries the plants home. I look at him and say, how many pints have you had tonight? Are you still able to carry a plant for me?
So it's how many pints have you had? Is it a 3-pot walk
Yes,
home,
exactly.
or a 2-pot walk
How much
home?
pain?
Yes.
How big?
How numbed are you?
Is the plant? Yes. Interestingly enough, today they've got some beautiful, great big china pottery planters. Well, we wouldn't be walking that home, would we? We'd have to roll it home, wouldn't we?
Might have to send you home for the car.
Yeah.
And get you to come and pick me in the pots up.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, lovely
definitely.
place. Lovely place.
So I've done my drawing. How are you getting on with yours?
I'm just tweaking all the fiddly bits at the front that you've already done.
Well, that's all I've done, is I've done the fiddly bits at the front, and I've ignored most of the building.
I'm kind of looking at it and thinking, I don't really want to do all the chairs and what have you outside.
I've got 2 people in amongst the bushes, but apart from that, I've not drawn...
You've left it at that?
Yeah.
I think I might do what you've done and just go for the tables and put the splash of colour and maybe make the table and flowers bigger than they really are.
Yeah, well, I've just focused in on that, so I'm going to get my water out and get ready and get started.
Yeah.
I'm going to start painting. Yeah. And normally when I paint, I start from a distance and work forward.
Yes.
But because of all that colour at the front, I'm going to start with the colour and then pop everything else around it.
Okay.
It's going to be a bit of a back-to-front painting for me.
Flying fairies.
Oh, how cute.
I'm going to make some more because they've got all tatty.
Look, Denise. These are Tony's fairies. Look at those.
Oh,
look.
How cute. Whoops, sliding down.
They need redoing.
What a lovely little idea.
Oh, I like that one. Look, that's millet, isn't it? That's millet on its skirt. But this one's got the conker shell on as a hat. Look.
I'll do them again. These, I said, they've got really tatty. They've been up in the bear's lodge.
Oh, how fun.
I love that one, look.
I'll put that one down. I've run out of hands.
Kids will like those, don't they?
I think big kids like it. Oh, the sun's coming out. The sun's coming out. So where are you starting?
I'm starting with the flowers that people keep buying.
Yes.
And I'm just dropping some pinks and violets in there and some water. And I'm leaving a few little gaps, and I'll put some green in there afterwards. But it's just so pretty.
Oh, look at the sun, isn't it gorgeous?
The dahlias that I'm painting, but they've got all of those, like, what I would call sweet pea colours.
Yes, yes, they're gorgeous kind of
Pinks
bright,
and
bright
reds
bubblegum
and
pinks.
purples.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
here's our friend again. He's the chap, there's the chap coming past that we saw in the woods.
Oh, so it is, yes. Talking about fungus.
Yes. What a friendly little place this is.
It is, isn't it? I love where I live, and I surely must do because we've been here now for nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
And
You have to love it to stay like
yes, yes. I have no desire to move or to go anywhere else at all, really.
So I can't persuade you to come and live in Norfolk near me.
No, I like where I am.
Yeah. No, understandable. It is a fantastic place. Right, so I've got a real contrast going on here now. I have got, next to my pink flowers, there are some sunflowers. So I've got a bit of a really deep yellow, and I've also got some quinacridone gold, which I always find hard to say, quinacridone gold.
So I'm just doing some pots under here, like
Okay.
you did.
Yeah.
But because mine is so much smaller than yours, trying to get the kind of... I don't want to do too much and make it too busy.
Yes. Oh, we've got some jackdaws around, charring away.
Oh, I love them, don't you?
Yes.
They get such bad press, don't they? And I think they're lovely.
And you get to know that. Cha!
Yes, yeah. We know a jackdaw, don't we, called Quentin?
We know a lovely jackdaw.
He's such a cutie.
If you like jackdaws, have a look for Quentin the Jackdaw on Instagram. He has his own page.
He's a lovely boy. He's a cheeky boy.
He's an old boy now. He's
How old is he?
about 10.
Oh, right, okay.
So he's getting on a bit, is our Quentin.
Where does the time go, eh?
Yeah. For me, because the focus of my painting is all the flowers, that's where I'm starting, and everything else is going to be periphery to it. Well, I think Tony's put some different flowers that weren't there before when I first started.
Just
Because quite a lot of the ones I did draw had gone, so I'm going to add these in whilst they're there. There's beautiful, beautiful, deep, deep red dahlias, I think. At the back.
This is the most beautiful beech tree. It's a copper beech, isn't it?
Yes.
So realistically, my leaves are going to be darker than anything else that I'm looking at behind it.
Yes, they are pretty strong, aren't they?
I'm not really concerned, therefore, about what's behind and thinking logically about having to put paint on top. So that's okay. The next thing I think I'm going to do is just put a little bit of colour down here on the foreground, because I don't want to go anywhere near this. It's wet, and that would be
Yeah, you have
lunacy.
to just completely
It'd just
stay
be
away
lunacy.
from it, don't you?
Yeah. So I could move in here and put a little bit of greenery in here, as though I'm thinking about the garden. I don't want to get involved in the umbrellas in the garden at all. I just want to give the impression of greenery. So this is going to be muck off the palette again, realistically.
Great colour.
And here I'm also using the sap green from Jackson's. We're giving that a bash.
And you've not
between us,
tried that
aren't
one
we?
before,
I had a
have
little go at it previously when we were at the Weald and Downland, but apart from that, no. So we've got some light red in the palette, and I quite like light red mixed in with a green. It gives you this kind of almost yellow ochre.
Oh, yes.
I like it.
It's a very natural green. I think the description could be sludgy, but it's not sludgy. It's,
No.
it's a bright
Yeah.
but soft colour.
And they say, don't they, if you've got lots of green in a picture, throw some red in somewhere because
Yes.
it gives you that brightness. So for me, that helps out with that issue.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just want that pretty nondescript.
We do keep getting just completely lost in what we're doing, don't we? Which is lovely. But not very exciting to listen to. We'll try and keep talking to you.
I've got some very interesting, I like Potter's Green. Now this is special Potter's Green because I've dropped it in the dirt, so you can see.
Oh, it's got Potter's
got all
Green
the
with
tips in
texture.
it, look. So this really is mixed media. It fell out of the palette and I dropped it. So, yes. But it gives your paints a bit of body
Yeah.
and yet bleeds into the loveliest, palest greens. Quite fond of the Potters.
It's a very interesting colour, isn't it? First time I was, presented with some and said, "What do you think of that?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
No,
Because it's not transparent.
No.
It's not. It's just a slightly different one to get your head round.
Well, one of the companies came at me and said, we've been offered this, and this is where this trial palette came from,
Yeah.
and said, we've been offered this, but we don't know whether we like it, and we don't know whether we want to stock it. Would you give it a try and see what you think? And
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. And they went away, and I think they must have decided that probably they weren't going to do anything with it. And it was me who went back to them and said, now look here, I think these Potter's colours have got legs.
Yeah.
And it's because they mix and they are gorgeous when you want a paint to granulate. Because if you
Crikey,
mix
yes.
the pink, so here's the pink here, and if you mix the pink with the blue, you get the softest grey, and it all granulates, and that makes your work very exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got a tarmac forecourt really, haven't we, apart from this lovely red brick path, and I just want to put that in and fade it away. Keep this porch beautiful because that is...
It's all go here today.
Yeah, I want to keep the porch nice because the porch is white, so I don't want to corrupt that.
Yeah, you've just got to be careful around it.
Oh, don't creep up on a person, Robin, and do that.
You do, it was beautiful.
That sudden tweet like that. So, paintwork on the building underneath is white, isn't it? But it's yellowed, hasn't it, with age? And we've got
Yes,
some lovely
creamy.
tile hanging work going along here. So I think I'm going to deal with that by painting it, and I might use a pencil or something similar to put the actual tiles in. I don't paint them in.
I can imagine your potter's blue and the pink combination that you said would be a lovely soft colour for tarmac.
Oh yes, yes
Yeah.
indeed, yeah. And these tiles are really in your face, aren't they? So
Yeah.
it's light red, really.
I'm ignoring them. They would dominate what I'm doing here.
Yes, you're into the flowers, aren't you?
I'm not normally a flower painter. It's weird.
So I've got a shadow up there, and to me it looks like a kind of purple, so I'm going to try and mix. I can also see a little bit of something like raw sienna up there too. So although it's not a bright day, it's still drying quite quickly, isn't it?
It is, yes. I've just put in tarmac to give myself a brown so I can put some shadows onto it.
Oh, that's granulating nicely, isn't it?
Isn't it just? There's plenty of ultramarine in there. So I've put a bit of a base grey down, but I want to make underneath the back here darker. So it's not quite dry yet. And I'm coming in underneath the back here, just to make that a little bit darker. That needs to be a little bit darker in there. Just go over a bit on the side. Just want to do something there. So I want to, these tomatoes, I just want to give them some roundness. They're all one colour because everything ran together, so I didn't try and separate them when I first put the colour down. Giving those tomatoes the tomatoiness. Is that a word?
Well, we've made it a word, that's all right.
The little tops of the tomatoes, just on some of them they'll be visible. And then I did exactly what Sharon just said she wasn't going to do, and I just put my fist in a bit of wet paint. However, going over it again, it's just granulating even more, which is rather glorious. Is wet. I need to put some shadows around these flower pots. Like you say, because there's no direct sunlight, there's not strong shadows, but there are lots of just kind of dark areas that you don't really know what's happening. You don't need to know what's happening. It's just some dark paint here and there, isn't it?
Yes, and you need to put them in, don't you, for the contrast?
Yes. I'll come back into this and work into these pots a little bit later, once all that has dried off.
This is the thing, isn't it? And this is what a lot of people aren't very good about, is the patience that you need to wait until things are dry.
Yes,
and it's very hard to do it. Very hard to do it. To discipline yourself, really.
You get excited and you want to come in, don't you? And then you mess it up, and then you wish you hadn't done it. And then you kind of go to yourself, why did you do that? And then you chastise yourself, and you go home and you cry into a corner into a darkened room.
And these are those moments of shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have done it.
So we're just leaving it alone. So what I'm doing here is I'm just putting a really, really soft sort of peachy brown onto that umbrella just to give it a bit of shape.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to paint around it. So I'm now you know, as I say, normally I would work from the back forwards. That's the normal way of doing a painting.
Yes.
But in this one, I'm working from the front back because I want to make sure I left room for all of these glorious
yes,
flowers.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I need to come in under here. This is really the bit I want to do, but around it is all dark.
Yep.
So there's some flower pots and some
Yep.
flowers down there. So I'm going to have to leave that alone, and I'm going to come up here. And I've drawn a couple of the people who are sitting behind here having their lunch and coffee.
Okay.
Just suggested at them. So and that's all I'm going to do is literally it will be a suggestion of these people. So a little bit of skin tone.
I was really playing with the idea of a Stilton ploughman.
Yes.
I have to confess, because I fancied that no end.
Well, you would have been allowed that.
But then I thought, oh, egg mayo,
I haven't had egg mayo in a long time. That's what made me choose that.
Oh, is it? Oh, I like that. We have that quite often at home. It's a good lunch. It's an easy lunch, isn't it? And I mean, you've got everything that you need in it. Really.
Yes, and it's one of those ones that you don't think of very often. When I get back from the gym,
Yeah.
one of the things I really quite like is a fish finger sandwich.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's just one of those things that you kind of go, do you know what? It's right. It's just what I need right now.
Well.
Yes.
Fish finger sandwich, everyone.
When did you last have a fish finger sandwich?
Don't know that I've ever had one.
Have you not?
No.
Sharon Hurst.
No, I haven't. No, I don't. No. So next time I come up to visit you, I'll have expectations.
Of a fish finger sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wasn't that a delicious lunch?
It was
Sharon?
lovely.
That was absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely lovely. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, we had a egg sandwich with salad, and they were clearly free-range eggs.
They were orange yolks, weren't they?
Yeah, just beautiful. So here I am, I'm just adding into my greenery. I've got flowers in, I've put this wall of green behind them, but a very light wall. And then I'm going to add to my building. Sure, just throwing things at us.
I wouldn't be surprised. They're finding lots and lots of hazelnuts at the moment. If you drive down the lanes, you'll see that the lanes are absolutely full of debris on the floor, and it's the squirrels who have been eating the hazelnuts, the cob nuts,
Yep.
and then throwing
That's
them
another
down.
one.
But yes, this is a beech tree above us, so obviously this little devil is up there scoffing beech nuts.
Well, we get them in our garden, but we've got Scots pine, and they go up there and they take the green cones
Yep.
and scoff them. And we brought a tree down to you, but we give away so many trees each year that the squirrels find the seeds and the nuts and they bury them for safekeeping in really random places, which they then grow.
Of course they do.
We found them in gutters and in patios and in flower borders and all sorts.
And they forget where they are, don't they? You can see them sometimes in the garden scuttling about,
Yes.
trying to digging up patches, trying to find out where they left the last thing.
Yeah. Right, I'm going in with my terracotta next of this. They're tiles, aren't they, on the front of the house?
Yes.
They're beautiful terracotta tiles. And I don't want it too strong. It's a foil for the green, but it's this lovely orangey colour, which contrasts against that green. So now what I'm doing is I'm picking up some different colours. I've got some of my quinacridone gold.
Yum yum, like quinacridone gold.
Yeah, and just dropping that into the wet paint. And I'm going to pick up a scarlet as well and just drop some of that in. And this will spread around, but it just adds to that colour. That goes under the eaves, so I'm just adding some ultramarine into my mix just to give me a darker bit for under the eaves.
Okay. Oh, that's lovely.
I've ended up with slightly wonky windows, but actually I think that suits this building.
I was
because
going to say, I
nothing's
think
that
it has
straight.
got slightly wonky windows.
Nothing is all that straight, is it?
No.
Is the brewery anything? Is it sort of the Ringwood Brewery is on
It's
there?
local.
Yeah, it is a local brewery.
Yeah.
So if I popped that on there,
It would be.
it would be relevant
be a
to
good
being
thing to do,
local.
yeah.
Okay. It looks like a wild boar, the picture.
It'd be a Hampshire hog.
Okay. There we go. I have 2 hogs sticking their tongues out.
Okay.
And then there is Ringwood Brewery written. I'm not worried if it's not clear to read. I just want it to be.
Yeah.
I also need a little more shadow in a couple of places on my. Let's put that for there. There are no 2 windows in this building that look like they're on the same floor.
No, because they're all at different kind of levels, aren't
Different
they?
heights, different levels. It's fab.
So windows are quite interesting because we've got quite a few to worry about here, haven't we?
You've got quite a few. I managed to just put a couple in.
Oh, shut up.
I'm not daft. I've just realised with this brush I've done the whole painting with one brush.
Oh, well done.
Well, I'm not, showing off or trying to do it deliberately. It's just I have.
Just putting the windows in, Denise, and because I've got such a small picture and it's almost impossible to get great detail in, yours is larger, you can get more detail than myself.
Doesn't mean so will.
And I'm just using, this is Payne's Grey, and I want to come in there and just do one side of an L like that. And then with water, just come in and nudge it, budge it and smudge it.
You do like a bit of nudge it, budget.
I do. I use it a lot, and I think that it's a good way to describe what we're playing at. So 1, 2, another 3 panes. And then again, if I just wet it to soften it, and then when you pan away you can see that we're looking at windows. It's obvious what we're looking at.
It just works, doesn't it?
We haven't had to put too much detail in.
Yeah, no, it really works. I'm putting my guttering in, so I've put in a line of the guttering.
Yep.
And then I'm coming along with a darker colour whilst it's still wet and going along the bottom. And that will do its own...
So you're smudging it in, really?
Yeah, letting it float to where it wants to go.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing okay. I'm not working as quickly as you, I'll have to say. I feel like I'm well behind. But it's okay. You know the saying about too far behind the band to hear the music. I don't feel as I'm that bad.
That's not a saying I know, but it's rather fabulous.
But I don't feel it's quite that bad.
The thing is, Sharon, when all these people come up, you've known half of them.
Yes.
So you've ended up having conversations with people.
Yes.
And I didn't know them, so I just carried on painting.
That's very true, you know, because some of these people, they're my neighbours, and I want to chat. People I've known for years.
And probably haven't seen much over the last couple of years,
I haven't,
certainly.
for obvious reasons. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, life's been tough for a lot of people, so, you know, being able to come out and do this is just marvellous, really. So, what am I looking at here? I've got this really interesting gate over in this area.
Yes. Yeah, I kind of managed to get a little bit of that into mine.
And I'm thinking to myself, let's see what I can do by painting that maybe with a little bit of negative painting.
Yes, you just paint around it and leave the really
Which
fog out.
sounds so easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not.
So I've got some greenery coming. This is all light green. This is all the beautiful wisteria. So I think what I need to do is get some greens prepped.
Got a band of greens on the go,
So
all
if I
ready
get
to
some
go.
greens ready to rock and roll. I'm going to go for some lemon yellow and put some cerulean into that, which will make me a really pretty green.
That would be a pretty green, yes.
This bright green that will do for the tops of the wisteria. You notice how the road's become busier since we've been sitting here?
I wonder if that's the road getting busier or the wind changing
Well,
direction
it
and
could be
bringing
that.
it across.
Yes, could be that. And I want some. This is Prussian blue. I'm going to. No, it's not. That's indigo.
Oh, that's a good. I love indigo.
That is indigo. And what happens when I add cadmium yellow into indigo?
Beautiful green.
Or the blue. So that can be one of my thick darks, couldn't it?
Yes, that's a nice rich colour.
And then I went a bit left field and used a purple down below for a few bits and pieces. So I'm going to emulate that and bring that up into the greenery.
And I also have a green that I would be happy for you to use. I've just got to check which one it's in. You put my palette down there if you want to use it. If you want to use this one, this is a green called Shadow Green.
Oh, I like that.
So it's the second
All right, okay,
dark
thank
clump
you
of
very
paint
much.
that you have no idea what it is
All
because
right.
it's just dark.
So what breed and brand and make is that?
It's a Shinhan, good old Shinhan.
Right.
It's Shadow Green.
I
It's
haven't
called.
got that one.
It's either Shadow Green or Green Black. I can't remember which one it's called. I think it's Shadow Green it's called.
So I left a few gaps around and about here that I've just infilled with that green, and then I want to add a little bit more of the yellow to it. This is the cadmium, but where it flops over that porch, I'm going to come in and use your shadow green. So
It's just a really, really dark.
I want that to
Rich
bleed
green,
into that. So again, just help it along with the brush. Yeah, that's
water.
nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a beautiful shadow green. It's not trying to fight with anything.
No. I'm just stippling my colours in. Letting them bleed into each other.
Bleeding colours.
Bleeding colours, yes. Pulling them around. Let's have the cloth so that I've got a bit more control.
I'm never getting out of control, Sharon.
Well, I must admit, I'm using this little brush. This is one of the brushes in the set.
That little
I quite
folding
like
stuff.
that. Sorry, I've just gone quiet because I'm looking at it to see if I like
Yeah,
it or not.
yeah,
I
nice.
do. And this brush is synthetic, and I'm not used to working with synthetic brushes, and it does mean that I tend to ladle more water on than I would expect. It takes me by surprise sometimes.
Again, it's about what you're used to, isn't it?
Yes.
See, I'm not a big fan, not so much of a fan of the sable brushes. And I think it's just because I've never really used them much, so I find them hard to use.
Yeah.
Because they don't behave like the brushes I'm used
No,
to.
no, exactly. Exactamente. So I'm now looking for the next area that I can move into that's not too vast, so that I can get the feel of what I'm doing and not panic. So I think I'm
please
going
don't
to
panic.
now
I don't want panic
I'm going
Sharon.
to bring this over here, I think. Little splash of bright yellow, because the wistaria's just starting to turn.
Yes.
Just starting to in there. So I've got that in there. And having done that, this is a case in point. Not thinking, I don't want it that low, because that's where I want my gateway. I want my gateway. It's not really there, but that's where I want to put it.
Yes.
So therefore, that means I've got to lift up my splash of yellow to there. So that's all right. We can manipulate it and move it and change things around. So then this bright green in there somewhere. Oh, look at that, when you add a bit of purple into that
Oh wow.
green.
Yes. Just tucks it so deep in there.
I need
doesn't
that
it?
really dark against that umbrella, you see,
Yeah.
where to make the umbrella stand out.
Yes.
So it's got to be
done.
great big bank of hedge here. Now that's going to be tricky. It's privet.
We'll try. Don't think it's the right shape for that though, is it?
No, I'd like to use, that would be pretty for branches and things, wouldn't it?
Yeah, when you're twiddling a bit.
When we get to the, yeah. Oh look, here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Doo 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 doo. There you see, you didn't know, multi-talented or not.
You notice I only did one little thing. I didn't want to ruin your little moment.
Sharon's having a moment.
We have plenty of
Stand
moments.
by. Stand by. I'm going into your dark green again.
Going in.
I'm going to drop some of that in hither and yon. I need some along there because, of course, this is... I lose my definition there.
Yeah, I don't want it to disappear into the other one. And then you've got that gorgeous tree coming up behind, haven't you?
Yes. Rather nice beech tree. So whilst I make up my mind, I'm just going to wet that.
Okay.
Because I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. And I'm thinking this should be light. It
Yes.
is a bit, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is a bit.
It's definitely light to the left
So
and dark to the right in
taking...
the way I've painted things.
I don't think that's the right, I don't like that colour. I'm going to go into lemon yellow
Okay.
and throw that into some sap green. And then when we put that down that edge, it's quite vivid, isn't it?
Oh, that's very beautiful actually. A really lovely colour. And that is the colour that's there. It's that kind of ta-da, look at me.
Yes.
It's a ta-da green, that one.
Now, next issue is I'm losing definition up there completely. So that's got to be really quite dark. So I'm going into your green for that.
Yeah.
Got to be dark up there, otherwise we lose it. And then I'm going to bring some of that into that bit of hedge there. There's a hole in the hedge here.
There is.
Not a hole in the bucket, it's a hole in a hedge.
And it's those things, noticing those little changes in light where there is a hole in the hedge, that make it look like you've observed, as opposed to just guessing and going, oh, it's a green hedge, it's going to be
And I'll show
flat.
that in. Yes, yeah. I want to throw a little bit of... See, this would be quite a good place to throw some salt in if you wanted to as well, wouldn't it?
Yes, or if you wanted to, or if you had some.
That, yes, quite. They're very helpful here, though. I'm sure if we really wanted it, we could go and find it somewhere. They've been lovely to us today.
They
haven't
have.
So there you go, everybody. That's the end of another episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've liked our company. We've had the most fantastic afternoon, haven't we?
So sociable. And we've even come away with a picnic of raspberries.
Freshly picked.
Which I nearly choked on. Don't inhale them, just eat them. They're
right
so
there,
delicious.
girl.
I'm fine.
What can you do with her? So, from not sunny Hampshire exactly, but from Steep in Hampshire, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. But don't forget, you've got to
Dip into our conversation.
Bye!
Bye.
Oi, do you mind?